Packet. I can't find it in mine, but in your packet, I made a front and back copy. The copy with the highlighted yellow is the only new to be added to the handbook. My 7-12 staff met on several occasions, and basically the running theme that we've been battling is our failing list and our lack of our students completing their homework. Completing it, period, for one, in a timely manner, two, and basically, if I was to just sum it up, I don't feel that we're doing our students a favor by allowing them to make up incomplete work 4 weeks after the fact, or whatever. So our staff come to the agreeance that we're going to, next year, make all assignments due upon the due date, whenever the teacher says, whether it's tomorrow or if it's a week project, whatever. There's a due date. It's due that day, and then they have 1 day of grace. If they don't turn it in that day, it's due the next day, and 20% will be deducted as a penalty. Going to some of the Marzano training, part of the big push in our instructional model is to have a common language. I've never really dictated to any of my teachers how they should grade, but this is kind of a dictation in the fact that every teacher will be held to the same standard and every student will be held to the same standard. And then if it's not turned in by the second day, they'll get a 0. In the short term, I feel that our failing list may grow until they realize that the teachers mean business. In the big scheme of things, I think it will do them justice. I mean, it's important in the working world, in college, whatever. If you don't do your work, you don't get paid. If you go to college and you don't do your work, you're not going to pass. So that's part of the logic there. And then the second paragraph under report cards, what we're basically doing there is the only grades that really matter that go on transcripts are the semester grades. First semester and second semester. At the end of the first quarter and at the end of the third quarter, that's merely a report on how your student is doing or how your child is doing. What we are proposing is that those grades from the start of school, first semester, run straight through till the end of the first semester. There won't be any break after 9 weeks. There won't be any break in eligibility. The grades will go straight on through. And part of that comes up from every year, after the end of the first quarter and after the end of the third quarter, our students tend to take about a 3-week vacation. And they dig themselves into a very deep hole that some of them can't get out of. The example I'll give you, we roughly have about 40 students per week on the failing list. At the end of the third week of our fourth quarter, we had 77 students on the failing list. Basically due to the fact that they're not doing their homework. It's not that they're not learning, they're just not doing their homework. So we're proposing that the other side of another part of that, we don't give half credit. At the end of the first 9 weeks, if a student passes that 9 weeks and fails the second 9 weeks, we don't give 2.5 credits. They get 1 grade, a semester grade. If they pass for the semester, they get 5 credits. If they fail, they get 0 credits. So that's the other logic behind that. The only exception will be our 7th and 8th grade, who are on a 9-week rotation when it comes to grades. Especially exploratory courses, they rotate every 9 weeks. So we will send out report cards for the freshmen. We can even send out a report card of grades at the end of the 9 weeks, just straight from Power School. It just won't look like a report card. It will list their classes and where they sit. So, and each week, if you receive a down list, the parent is receiving that grade anyways. So that's the only changes that I'm proposing for next year's handbook. Everything else you've already approved in the past.
On the down list, George, that's something that's determined weekly.
Hmm?
The downs list.
Every week.
Every week.
After the second week of the quarter, teachers turn in a list. The third week is, we call it a grace week, meaning if you are failing 2 subjects and you are ineligible, you have a grace week of 1 week to get 1 or both of those classes up.
Okay.
So basically, it's at 3 weeks.
And then after that, it's every week.
Yep,
Okay.
it's every week. And then we stop at the end of the first quarter. 2 weeks go by.
Oh, I see.
We
Okay.
stop at the end of the third quarter, 2 weeks go by, then there's a grace week.
And so now it'll just be straight
It'll
through.
be straight through.
Okay.
Is this K through 12?
This is 7-12. Mary can speak. I think she likes it too.
This for your 7-12?
For the 1 day, the assignment thing.
Yes, very much so.
But
But
you-
we'll keep our grades every
Quarter.
9 weeks.
Oh, okay.
In the elementary, just because we don't do the semester type of grading, so
They don't do
credits
credits.
and.
So are you seeing the same problem, the downturn in three weeks, for the 3 weeks
No.
after quarterly? No.
No, you see the legwork from the upper elementary over here. Mhm.
So legwork is starting at a younger age and it's just perpetual. Is that? what
Pretty
we're-
much so, I'd say, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think you'll need to go with the continuing on through for the semester with the grades, because if a student gets 1 or 2 zeros, that's a hole to get out of. You don't do that in just 3 or 4 days.
The other part of my logic there too, and Ron would attest to this, maybe in the first quarter, say you're a total points teacher, and the first 9 weeks you had 800 points, and whatever the student earned. In the second quarter, you had a term paper, and that second quarter you had 1,500 points. Averaging them 2 together isn't really fair. When you go straight across, you're getting the benefit of the whole the whole thing.
And there is a grace period for late work for sickness or
Oh,
excused
yeah.
absence. or
That's
something.
still in there, 2 days for every 1 day absent. But the teacher will give them a due date, and then it's due by that date. We have multiple issues with